Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Football Friday, presented by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. And we are ready to roll with you for the next 2 hours. Got Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com with us in 15 minutes. We'll get you ready for LSU and Auburn. You know, we'll go through the NFL slate as well. My picks against the spread in the Southeastern Conference in hour number 2. Katie George going to be on the sidelines inside Tiger Stadium tomorrow evening. She'll be with us at 2:15. Of course, we're going to play Take It or Leave It. And when we finish things up, my final pick for the Saints at the Texans and LSU hosting Auburn. That's, of course, where we'll start on this Football Friday, working towards the weekend. Hope you're doing well. Hope LSU does well tomorrow night when Auburn comes to town. And I've been thinking about angles to talk about this game, thinking about things that I wanted to look into, and we are raving about this LSU offense, as we should be. LSU's been sensational on the offensive side of things. Statistically, aesthetically, efficiently, any way you want to look at it, LSU's been awesome on offense. And Auburn's defense has been pretty good to this point. Like, even when the offense goes out there to California and lays an egg, the defense plays well. In College Station, the offense did nothing. They scored 3 points. But Auburn got a scoop and score and held Auburn in that game with A&M until the fourth quarter. Their defense has been pretty good. And I think it's going to be one of the tougher tests that LSU faces this year. I think big plays are a great look at how a defense is functioning. Auburn has only allowed 18 plays of 20-plus yards this year. That's third best in the Southeastern Conference. Conversely, LSU's offense over that same time period has 50 of them. 50 to 18 on 20-plus yard plays. Can LSU create those chunk plays in the passing game and even in the running game? And last week, I told you that I thought just about every game LSU played is going to come down to the red zone because I expect LSU to give up yards. I expect LSU to get yards. The question is, what do offenses do, whether it's LSU's or their opponents, once you get inside the 20-yard line? Well, Auburn leads the SEC in red zone scoring defense. They've been the best. And they're fourth in the SEC in red zone touchdown prevention, which is really the goal. LSU offensively, second in the conference in red zone touchdown percentage. It's a battle of a couple of strengths. Now, nobody up front for Auburn is going to garner a bunch of headlines, okay? I don't see Nick Fairley on this unit. I don't see Derek Brown on this unit. They don't have that kind of guy. Hugh Freeze is working to restock the shelves in that way. But they've done a pretty good job of cycling guys in there and bowing up to the run. There's not anybody on that group that's got more than 2 sacks. They've really got one headliner on the defense as far as statistics and personnel goes. That's Jalen Simpson at corner. He's missed a little bit of time, been banged up, but he's got an interception in 4 of their 5 games. He's supposed to play tomorrow, and that's a guy that you'll certainly want to watch. But this boils down to me to what is LSU offensively. We think they're awesome. And when they play Missouri, they play Arkansas, they play Mississippi State, they play Ole Miss, they are awesome. And I think the ultimate litmus test is going to come when you go to Tuscaloosa. That's where every LSU team has to prove itself in this era. But there's a little bit of a window for me to open and go, you know, Mississippi State sucks. They're awful. You know, Missouri doesn't have guys. Ole Miss has never prided itself on defense under Lane Kiffin. What is Arkansas right now? They hadn't won a game in a month. LSU's rolling up offensive statistics against bad teams. We saw them play Florida State. That's a good team, and they got kind of bogged down in the second half. So do we really know? Like, and I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit. Hopefully you sense that in my tone. But that window's open. It's just a matter of not you believe it, and we'll find out more coming up on Saturday night. If LSU runs through Auburn and scores 48 points and, does what it's been doing for a month, I'll feel better about the LSU offense if that's possible. I think it's more impressive to carve up Auburn than it is Missouri. It's more impressive to carve up Auburn than it is Mississippi State. Auburn's been better. Now, Carson Beck last week threw for 313 yards. Brock Bowers did his Brock Bowers thing, and that's going to happen. So it's not like Auburn's the greatest defense in the history of college football. But it is, in my opinion, better than the ones LSU has played. They're better up front, and they've got some better dudes in the secondary. So the conversation, I think, shifts a little bit when we get back here on Monday. It's either, man, this LSU offense is cooking on everybody. They still got to go to Tuscaloosa and do it, but they're cooking on everybody. Or LSU scores 27, has to punt 5 or 6 times, and you're going, well, it's a good offense, but is it that good? Like Hunt last week was talking about the Joe Burrow offense and comparing the two. What is this? And I know Joe didn't light it up against Auburn that year. Auburn was the closest team that LSU played. But I think this is another opportunity for LSU to prove itself offensively against a pretty good defense. I expect LSU to move the ball, and I still think it's going to come down to the red zone where Auburn's been pretty good. But I think it's interesting. I think there's still something to be proven because while it's been really fun to watch this team go right up and down the field on everybody, it's like, okay, is it impressive to carve up Mississippi State? Everyone does. So that's what I think about when I think about the offensive side of the ball for LSU. When I look to the LSU defense in this game, I look at a unit that's obviously struggling. Okay, we know that. And I look at an Auburn offense that hasn't really found anything through the air. Auburn's last in the league in 20-plus yard plays. They've only got 20 of them. And LSU has given up a truckload of huge plays. They're the worst in the league. So something's got to give there. The thing that is not going to show up in the stat sheet when you talk about LSU's defense and this Auburn offense is that I do think the home crowd can help. The home crowd can't dominate the game, okay? The players are going to have to go out there and play. And I promise you the home crowd won't do anything if it's a track meet and you can't get a stop. But there's something about playing inside Tiger Stadium, having that home crowd at your back, the Auburn having to maybe potentially go to silent count or using hand signals that could create some issues and inspire LSU's defense, beg your pardon, to play a little bit better than they did at Ole Miss in a Hornet's Nest, at Missouri at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's something that I do think can help. It can be galvanizing. I love the quote that we had from Jacoby and Guillory earlier this week. It was, I thought, so refreshing to hear somebody communicate what they're feeling, and it makes so much sense. He was like, look, we just gotta show up, do something, and help this offense out, and we're going to win a lot of games. And I think he's probably echoing the sentiment of his entire unit. And they know that. It doesn't appear their confidence is shaken, and now they got 100,000 behind them. I think that's got to help a little bit. Now, those 100,000 go pretty quiet, pretty quick. We know that. But is Peyton Thorne the guy that's going to do that? Is this group of no-name receivers the group that's going to do that? Maybe Jarquez Hunter. But it's really been death by 1,000 cuts for Auburn on offense. They don't create big plays. They just kind of move the chains with that offense, running the football. I think one thing that I have not talked about all week as we've broken down this game is what impact can a home crowd have on this defense? I think it can help. We'll see. It should be a pretty good environment. Weather's really good. LSU's still in it. It's a Saturday night in Death Valley. Auburn's not a team people around here are very fond of. It's not the best Auburn team we've ever seen. No, it's not. But it's Auburn, and I think it's going to be really fun in there on Saturday night. Our Friday shows are brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you're tailgating, get some Corks out there. Awesome fried catfish, fantastic fried shrimp. They can do them without the batter as well if you're looking for a little lighter option. They got big trays of those crispy shoestring fries, their honey butter biscuits. Awesome stuff over there at Corks, and they do great catering work. So if you're headed out to Tiger Stadium, want to do some tailgating, Corks is your spot. They can help you with the catering. Give them a call today, and they'll have it ready for you, ready to roll tomorrow. Corks brings you our Friday shows. We certainly appreciate it. Head over to the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. Plenty to get to here on this Football Friday. Got Preston Guy coming up after this timeout. Katie George in hour number 2, my picks against the spread. And, of course, to end the show, we're going to get my final prediction on the Houston Texans and the Saints, as well as Auburn and LSU. So don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Ochsner Health and MD Anderson Cancer Center have partnered to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center in southeastern Louisiana. This collaboration is going to provide patients in our region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in the nation. That is awesome news because we all know that we're all affected by cancer one way or another. Ochsner is the first and only provider in Louisiana that's got a fully integrated cancer program based on MD Anderson's practice standards and treatments plans. It's based on their protocols, that's got access to their specialists and their researchers, as well as some select clinical trials that are available to select patients. That expert cancer care going to be given in 7 different locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, Baton Rouge, and Ochsner MD Anderson are working together to facilitate some more additional sites in the future. If you want some more information on Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center, you can visit ochsner.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Football Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. It's a Football Friday. Phil Steele is with us, preview of the biggest games, the right radio hours. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Moving right along on this Football Friday. Appreciate you being with us on these Football Fridays. We're always joined by Preston Guy of TigerBait.com, and we are right this moment on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how are you?
What's going on, Hunt?
If I'm being candid, I ate too much lunch. I'm feeling a little full at the moment. We're going to power through the radio show, but it's just one of those deals. You just make a mistake, you ate a little bit too much, and you got to pay for it the rest of the afternoon.
Look, man, that sounds like the dad life if I've ever heard it, man. Remember when we were like in our 20s and we just, pounded 10 beers and drank a bunch of hot dogs and stuff, and we were just good, man. We were Iron Men, and now, 30s hit and your stomach gets a little weak. It is what it is, dude.
Too much leftover pasta. But we're going to make it through on this Football Friday. Did LSU's defense get any better last week?
I looked at it, and my first notion watching the game was, well, that's a ridiculous concept. They still gave up 500 yards to, Missouri's a good offense, but you're not playing well if you give up 500 yards. And then Brian Kelly in his presser, of course, said they saw a light at the end of the tunnel. And I was like, well, let's investigate. So after the first 3 drives, they give up 22 points, right? Obviously, they played about as poorly as you can possibly play in 3 possessions. Tracking from there, in the previous 20 possessions, right, LSU had given up scores on 17 of 20 possessions that weren't cut short by the clock. Ugh. So unless you're saved by the bell, basically the LSU's defense was getting scored on, right? You could put a high school defense out there and maybe do just as good because the other team might fumble 3 times. So pretty bad. And then LSU had 10 more possessions to end the Missouri game, and they gave up 17 points against Missouri. So I started really watching the film, and, the effort was a lot better. There was a lot less guys loafing around. I only counted 3 or 4, whereas the week before we were well into the teens on guys loafing around, especially loafing on plays. In fact, Ashton Stamps got called out on ESPN Game Day for one of the bad loafs I saw. So, it's bad when Game Day's calling you out for that issue because it was a live play. It was a play he could have ran the other side. The tackling, not good, 5 or 6 missed tackles, but better. It really does seem like they really settled in their own. The defensive line played substantially better, not just in like their results, but the week before there was a lot of guys 1 to 2 yards off the ball or in weird stances, and it really looks like they put a big emphasis on straightening that out. So yes, I do think particularly in the final 10 possessions against Missouri, the defense was better, and let's set the bar appropriately for this defense. You don't need to be elite. Jaden Daniels is out there cooking right now, man. I mean, that is an elite offense. Just be average. Just rank, 60th in the country. Hey, I'd sell for mid-70s at this point because you're in the hundreds. And give your offense a chance to win the game when they put up 40-plus points. Just don't have an embarrassingly bad performance out there. And I think this LSU team, if that defense takes that step, does have a chance to win every game left on its schedule.
We know Auburn's pretty one-dimensional at this point. They're running it pretty well, and they're throwing it very, very poorly. Does that concern you?
It does. So the way I look at LSU's defense, there's 2 big weaknesses that you can strategically target, and that is, 1, downfield passing, right? In coverage for a variety of reasons, even when guys are covered, they still catch the ball because the defensive backs can't identify the ball and go get it. So that's a big problem, coverage, soft zone coverages and stuff. Fortunately, that's your biggest flaw and the flaw that you don't want targeted the most on this defense. Fortunately, you play a guy who's 15th in the SEC in passing. There's only 14 teams, so that tells you something.
Yeah, that's going to be a help.
How Texas A&M has 2 passers that outpass them, I don't know, but it is what it is. And then the other weakness that has really come on of late, I think Lane Kiffin discovered this and kind of put it on film. The outside run contain is atrocious. Teams are just ripping you right now. If I had to guess, they're probably giving up 7 yards per carry on outside runs right now. I mean, it's terrible. So would I rather give up the 7 yards on the ground or the 30 yards in the air? Well, give me the 7 yards on the ground. That being said, I'm sure Hugh Freeze has found a lot of ways to get to that outside run contain in his bye week, and that does scare me a little bit because he's an offensive mind. That being said, I do think I think Auburn's going to get their points, but I don't think that because Auburn's inability to target downfield, I don't think it's going to be 700 yards or anything like that again.
That stat you just gave me on the outside runs concerns me because I saw it from the other perspective. I was watching Auburn play Georgia and watching the highlights of that game, and Auburn did a great job getting to the edges with Hunter and Batty, and even Thorne busted a big 60-yarder off tackle on a little read option that he kept. So that's a major concern on Saturday night.
It is, and it's my number one concern. I think Auburn's going to put some good points up, and Robbie Ashford, the other quarterback that they like to run in there, I think they're going to come up with some creative RPOs to attack that.
We shall see. LSU offensively has been fantastic. I opened the show saying I think that it's a really good offense. I'm confident in the offense, but I think there's a small window that could be kicked open. If you go, well, yeah, but Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Missouri stink on defense, obviously you're going to do that. Is there any chance that that's the case and that Auburn and Alabama will hold this team sub 30, sub 25 points?
Well, let me frame this with a different perspective because I understand where you're going with this. LSU's played just about as tough a schedule as anybody, right? Yeah. I mean, there's nobody with a substantially more difficult schedule than LSU at this point, right? So other teams are also playing weaker opponents, just like LSU has. Yet Jaden Daniels sits number one in the country in total yards. Why is that? I think it's evident that it is an elite offense, and I do believe LSU's offense ranks, I think, 4th in the country. So I definitely get where you're coming from, but it's not like other teams. It's not like LSU's the only team in the country that plays against weaker competition.
Sure, and I'm playing devil's advocate. Admittedly, I was open about that as well in the start. I'm going, just maybe there's another side to this thing than the one we're all clinging to. Why do you think they were 2-1 run to pass against Missouri? Was that a game plan specific thing?
I think it was exactly what we talked about last week. I do think it was a game plan to try to get the offense some rest, some breathers, and shorten the amount of possessions. I'm not a huge fan of running the ball to slow down the clock unless it's helping you score more frequently, because all you really do with that, you're not actually helping your defense perform better most of the time, unless you're going with the well-read, but you're shortening the amount of possession, right? And that is what concerns me, because it's like, okay, well, you took a possession away from them, but you also took possession away from yourself. So I'm not nuts over that strategy. However, they ran the ball effectively. They still put up, the points that they needed to put up to win the ball game. Jaden Daniels still looked incredible at times. I'm sorry, the whole time. Let's not mince words there. And you got the win. So I do have a concern, though, that they're going to steer away from, these elite receivers and what Jaden Daniels is doing in an effort to help the defense. And, you might get into situations where your offense is stalling out because you tried too much to help your defense. I really do not. I'm nervous about that as the season goes on, that you're going to shoot yourself on the foot in offense just to give that defense a hand.
Do you have any concern about Jaden Daniels' ribs?
I mean, I would feel a lot more concerned about it if he didn't just turn around and take the lead on back-to-back scores right after taking that kill shot in the ribs. They're not going to hurt more than they hurt during the game, like not a week later. Sure, they'll be sore, but everything he showed me immediately following that, I'm good. That dude broke off run after run and played fearlessly. In fact, that's one of the things I've was talking about with Jaden Daniels this year is it's almost more impressive than the numbers themselves are the intangibles behind it. Remember, against Arkansas, he went 7 of 14 with a pick, and it was the worst he'd ever been at LSU. Well, he just bounced that back with one of the strongest performances we had seen him to do to date. And then, to take that kill shot in the ribs and then follow that up with the performance he had against Missouri. I mean, these things are just very impressive from an intangibles perspective.
He's been fantastic, that's for sure. How do you think it goes on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think LSU's going to get there as scheduled, 40 points. I do think Auburn's going to, run the ball well, put some points on the board. I think that because Auburn's going to run the ball a lot and because LSU is going to keep on with a focus of running the ball, I think we're going to see maybe a possession or two less than we usually would have. I think LSU's going to get 42, and I think Auburn will get 28. So 42-28, I'll take LSU to cover the 11.5.
That would be good. I would like that very, very much. It'd make my postgame show a little bit better, and certainly Monday's show a lot better. Big picture here before I let you go, Preston. Are you a believer in Hugh Freeze at Auburn long term?
Yeah, I am. I don't think he has his Jimmies and Joes. Now, believer in what context? Do I think that, he's going to be the next Alabama dynasty over there? No. I mean, Auburn is, a good tier 1 program, but they're toward the bottom. Do I think he'll win, minimum, 8 games a year moving forward? Yeah, I think he'll get it in line and get to win at that point. Hugh Freeze wasn't perfect at Ole Miss, but he got some good wins. And if you could keep his burner phone away, he's a pretty solid recruiter. So I think he'll do well at Auburn, and he'll put together a few elite teams. I just hope that the Auburn fans can keep it in perspective, suffer through a few 9-3, 8-4 seasons, because you do still play in the SEC, and it is still tough to win.
He recruits pretty well with the burner phone, too. It's just illegal. One way to look at it.
Let's put it like this, don't get caught with the burner phone.
It's Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Football Friday. Thanks, Preston.
All right, hon. Have a good day.
Good sign. And at Zippy's, local eating establishment here in Baton Rouge, said, hey, Hugh, we'd love to escort you around town. Look, you got to have a little fun these days, huh? Hugh Freeze and Auburn coming to town. Should be a fun one inside Tiger Stadium under the lights. 6 o'clock kickoff. I guess I'll set you up for your football Saturday tomorrow if you want to hang out with us. We're here basically from 1 p.m. through 2 a.m., 13 hours or so of coverage at 1 o'clock. Eagle 98.1 game day from Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee. So if you're headed out to get your tailgate fired up, head by Rouse's. Charlie and Matt Musso will be out there from 1 until 4 o'clock, a 3-hour pregame show. LSU Sports Radio Network takes over at 4. That's me, Marlon Favorite, Brandon Taylor. We'll be joined by Matt McMahon, LSU head basketball coach, between the ramps of the Assembly Center tomorrow, so looking forward to that. We'll go from 4 to 5:30, hand off to the broadcast team for the call of the game inside the stadium. 30 minutes after it goes final, me, Brandon, and Big Fave with you on the Fighting Tiger post-game report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. And 90 minutes after the game goes final, Eagle 98.1 Game Day's post-game show from right here in the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. That is Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon. So full day on Saturday starting at 1 p.m. on Eagle 98.1. When we come back, get a look at the NFL slate for Sunday. I always have a little bit of fun and a crazy stat I'm going to throw at you in that segment. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Been thinking about joining FanDuel? There's no better time to get in on the action. The app's easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued, knowledge travel bonus bet expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Charles Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy Ott for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. We start at 10 a.m. from the Beau Rivage Sportsbook in Biloxi, Mississippi, and it includes the Brian Kelly press conference. Live at Lunch, 10 a.m. on Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Football Friday is always brought to you by Corks, corksfishandshrimp.com. Get on by Government between Foster and Jefferson. Get some late lunch or a little dinner this evening from Corks. They bring you our Friday shows every single week. Cool, on LSU's official Twitter handle for football, there's a picture. They are striping the field currently, and they're not done with the eye just yet. What you can see on the field is the number 3 on both 25-yard lines. So they'll honor Greg Brooks with his number on both 25s tomorrow inside Tiger Stadium. That'll be a nice touch there as the team continues to think about him and he continues his fight. He's up in Memphis now dealing with that brain cancer, but hoping for a full recovery as quickly as possible for number 3. But they'll think about him tomorrow as they take the field against Auburn. We're going to get you ready for Sunday. We've got a little NFL slate. We do it every week. We give you our tiers. 4 is the worst football of the week. Tier 1 is must-see TV. And I got to tell you, no Tier 1s for me this week. There are 3 in Tier 2, 6 in Tier 3, and 2 in Tier 4. So overall, not the greatest NFL slate, but there is one stat I'm going to get to here a little bit later that just blew me away. Maybe it won't blow you away, but it blew me away. So let's start in Tier 4. This is the bad football of the week. The Vikings are at the Bears. Justin Jefferson not going to play. He's on IR, so that's really the only reason to watch this game, right? The Vikings were 11-0 last year in one-score games. They are 1-4 in one-score games this year, just not doing things at winning time, and it's almost time for Kirk Cousins to move along there, and Jets is not going to sign a long-term contract until he figures out what they're going to do at quarterback. So real problems up there in Minnesota, and we know there's tons of problems with the Bears. The Patriots are at the Raiders. That is Tier 4 for me. The Patriots, as we've talked about the majority of the early part of this week, they're in bad way right now. They have lost their last 2 weeks 72-3. That's awful. The Raiders' defense has given up only 13 points in its last 6 quarters, so I don't know if this is going to be a lot better for Mac Jones and company. Josh McDaniels, interestingly enough, is a punchline for a lot of jokes. Not a great head coach. He's 2-0 against Bill Belichick. The only coach to start his career 3-0 against Bill Belichick, Dave Wannstedt, is the answer to that. Josh McDaniels can join him with a win on Sunday. That's Tier 4. Tier 3, a lot of action here. The Commanders are in Atlanta to play the Falcons. Sam Howell's been sacked more than any quarterback in the NFL, and the Falcons have not covered in the last 4 weeks. This is not going to be a very aesthetically pleasing football game, but if you're a Saints fan, you might need some help from the Commanders. Pull for them in Atlanta. The 49ers are awesome. The Browns are awesome at defense. So that's really the matchup in this one in Cleveland. The 49ers are number 2 in the NFL in offensive efficiency. The Browns are the number 1 defensive efficiency team in the NFL. Also, the 49ers, if you're a wagering person, the only team in the NFL that has not lost against the spread all season long. 49ers are favored every time, and they're covering spreads at the same time. They're a really, really good team. The Panthers are in Miami to play the Dolphins. This is a winless team against a team that scores a bajillion on everybody. Miami's got the most yards ever in the history of the NFL through the first 5 games. They need about 480 to pass the 2,000 Rams for most ever through 6 games. We'll see if they can do that against a Carolina defense that's not great. The Panthers also have not covered all year long. They're losing and they're not covering. They're a bad football team. The Cardinals are at the Rams. James Conner is on IR for the Cardinals, so going to be a lot more Josh Dobbs. Here's my stat on this game. How is Josh Dobbs a starting quarterback in the NFL? He was like an average to below average SEC quarterback for Butch Jones. And now he's slinging it around on Sundays. That's a little surprising to me, to be quite honest, that that's a guy who's made it as a starter in the league. Here's the stat that blew me away. Maybe it's not that crazy. I realize they're in different conferences. I know they don't play every year. But the Jets have never beaten the Eagles. How is that possible? It's not like it's the Texans or the Jaguars or the Panthers that are fairly new. The Jets and Eagles have been around for a while. And the Jets, to put another notch on their laughable history, have never beaten the Eagles. The Eagles are 12-0 against the Jets. That's crazy. That blows me away that that's the case. Tier 3 continues. The Giants are at Buffalo. Giants 13-4 against the spread last year, 0-5 against the spread this year. Saquon Barkley back from an ankle injury. We'll see if that's ready to roll, but still got Daniel Jones, which means you're probably not going to be very good. I like Buffalo to roll in that one up in Orchard Park. All right, Tier 2, which is the best football we've got this week because I don't have anybody in Tier 1, but 3 games in Tier 2. The Ravens are playing the Titans in London. That's the early game. The Titans have scored under 30 points in 27 straight games. Tannehill, baby. Both teams have hit the under in 3 straight games. This game's in London. Titans don't really score. Maybe the under is a play for you in the early game if you need something on the line before the real football kicks off at noon. Seattle is at the Bengals. I've got this in Tier 2. Seattle has got the fourth best pass rush win rate in the NFL, and Joe B is still recovering. He looked better last week, but he's still recovering from that calf injury. T. Higgins is questionable. That led to Jamar Chase going nuts last week. We'll see if Jamar can jump back into that. Big game for the Bengals. They try to crawl out of the hole they've once again created there for themselves because Joe didn't play well because he didn't practice in preseason. So Seattle at the Bengals in Tier 2. Also, Lions and Bucks in Tier 2. The Lions offense averaging 29.6 points per game, and the Bucks defense has been pretty good this year. They're only allowing 27% touchdowns in the red zone, and they're only allowing in the red zone 33% completions. That's fantastic red zone defense. We'll see if the Lions can get in there and chop it up. Actually, a 4th game in Tier 2. I lied. There's not 3. There's 4. Colts and Jags I've got in Tier 2. Both these teams are 3-2. Didn't think the Colts would be very good. Thought the Jags might be pretty good. They finished off last year pretty strong and played well in the playoffs. So both these teams 3-2. No Anthony Richardson. Time Gardner Minshew for the Colts. Former Jaguar playing his old team. Jonathan Taylor, very rich now. He's going to play in this game. And the Jags are 5th in the NFL in run defense. They'll try to hog tie Jonathan Taylor in this one. So that is your look around the NFL. I just can't believe the Jets have never beaten the Eagles. It blows my mind. But maybe it's not that great a stat because they're in different conferences. I just think it's nuts. They've both been around forever. First ever Baton Rouge Kids on the Catwalk Dreams Come True Foundation Show is coming up October the 26th at the Country Club of Louisiana. Dream Kids are going to be walking down the catwalk with local dignitaries as their escorts, including Flynn Foster, including Richard Condon. Admission includes dinner and an open bar. There'll also be live and silent auctions featuring celebrity auctioneer T. Bob Hebert. So if you'd like to purchase tickets to the Dreams Come True Fashion Show, you can do that at dctofla.com. Again, that's dctofla.com. Speaking of T-Bob, he'll be out at Rouse's this afternoon from 3 to 5, handing out gift cards, handing out cups, shirts, hats. Always has a good time out there at Rouse's, Burbank and Lee, so get on by and see T-Bob this afternoon. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks. We'll come back, get you more LSU Auburn talk with a little bit of sound. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, certainly a champion of Louisiana. Founded in a Baton Rouge shed. Now all of a sudden they're outfitting some of the best players in the world with their baseball equipment. But they're not just a bat company. That's not all that Marucci Sports is. There wouldn't be a champion of Louisiana if that were the case. But they are a champion of Louisiana because they're a tourism boon to the Baton Rouge area with their Marucci World Series every summer. They attract great talent to come work at Marucci in our state of Louisiana. They keep great talent working in the state of Louisiana. And they care about being from Louisiana. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on select new 23 Ford F-150 trucks. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail.
It's week 7 in the prep football season, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by Brock. Got the Guy in Central kickoff at 7, and that's immediately followed by Louisiana Prep Scoreboard presented by Lake Urgent Care. On YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on a Football Friday. Just love Football Fridays in this town. Weather's fantastic today. I'm gonna get out to the box after the show and watch a little practice. A lot of folks coming in town. I drove out to drop something off before the show, and there was already RVs pulling in, tents getting set up, and it's just we hadn't had enough Saturday nights in Death Valley this fall. The team's been away for the majority of the early half, but they will certainly be here for a ton of the back half of the schedule, and that starts tomorrow night against Auburn. And LSU's defense has been the talking point really since the Florida State game. I mean, that's really what we've talked about more than the offense around here, because we're just kind of prone to talking about issues, and the offense has just been so awesome that, like, what's there to critique at this point of the offense? But the defense has given us plenty of places to critique, and I've said multiple times that I'm worried about the psyche of college kids that continue to get torched week in and week out by offenses. And Sage Ryan has been out there for a lot of the defensive snaps for LSU, and he spoke to his confidence level this week on the defense.
I played safety, played nickel, I played cornerback, so I know every position on the field. So that just brings me confidence, and just knowing who I have, my personnel, who I have on the field with me. Those guys like Harold Perkins, Mason rushing the passer, Wingo, Major, they all help communicate on the field, so my comfort level is high. I'm confident in those guys to do that at 111, and they're confident in me.
That sounds good on paper. We got Harold Perkins, we got Mason Smith, we got Mekhi Wingo, we got Major Burns, and they just haven't been good enough, and they've got to take a step in that direction against a very one-dimensional offense in Auburn. Ryan talked about kind of taking things day by day as they continue to try to improve.
We came a long way, just taking it week by week, taking it day by day, and just improving. We're having a great week of practice this week, and we're looking forward to, going into Tiger Stadium and beating Auburn.
They did make some things happen late in the game against Missouri that could breed some confidence in this group as they go into the Auburn game. You get a couple of big sacks on third down. You get a huge strip sack that sets up a ridiculous fourth down. You get the pick six at the end of the game. And your defensive guys, how many times do you see a defensive guy who's down like 20 points or has given up 45 points and he gets a sack and comes up and does some sort of dance or celebration? Like, really, man? Like, you're down 40 or you've given up 40 points. And that kind of happens with defense a lot. Happens on offense too, but I think it's just a testament to, like, the college kids just want to go play the next play, and they're excited to go play the next play, and they want to go make the next play. And that's what this defense is going to have to do on Saturday night. And Brian Kelly was asked last night about his confidence that the defense is going to keep working in the right direction.
I feel really confident that they're going to play at a higher level. They're going to have to. Look, in all areas, we have to challenge the ball in the air. We have to continue to tackle better. And then we have to be on the defensive line and the linebacker in the front seven. We have to build a wall and take the air out of the defense, because if there's any gaps at all, they're going to exploit you in terms of their running game. And we've worked really hard on it this week. I feel good about going into the game. They're going to have some runs, but I think our guys have made really good improvement. One
thing I know for sure is that however this game goes for Auburn offensively, for LSU defensively, is going to frame the narrative around the LSU-Alabama game. The Army game is not going to do that, okay? It's a unique offense that you're not going to see any other time. It's a massive talent discrepancy. Like, it's not apples to apples at all. So whatever happens in this game is going to frame the conversation for the Alabama game. If LSU does show up and stop the run a little bit, and they do get another turnover, and they hold Auburn to 20 points, and they win a game by 20 points, and the defense does show signs of life, then we'll say, maybe they brought in Pete Jenkins. They're getting a better understanding of what they want to do. Mason Smith's is healthy and in shape now, and he's made a couple of plays, and maybe they're getting a little bit better than they were when they went to Oxford. That's probably what things will sound like. If they give up 45 points and Peyton Thorne throws for 325 when he's thrown for nothing all year, we're going to look up and go, they got no shot to stop Alabama. They better go there with an intent to score 50 points or they're going to get run off the field. Like, this game is going to frame how we speak about the Alabama game in 3 weeks. That's just the way this is going to go. And Jacobian Guillory was talking earlier this week about his defensive front helping the secondary as they try to improve.
Getting after the quarterback, affecting the quarterback helps our guys in the back half out. So, like I said, when the defensive line plays better, it makes everybody else's job easier. So, every week I know that our DBs and back there, they're looking for us to start fast. So when we start fast, the defense starts fast. And when the defense starts fast, the offense starts fast. And it's just like a trickle-down effect.
That's all true. And I'll be surprised if Auburn dices LSU through the air. They may hit some plays, but I'll be surprised if Peyton Thorne's stat line at the end of the game is 17 for 22 for 321 and 4 touchdowns. That will surprise me. I know that we've seen LSU's defense be not very good. That will surprise me. I think Auburn goes to the ground, and I think if they have success, that's where they'll have it. And so this becomes about what the defensive line can do against the run. And guess what? That narrative is going to continue because you've got Army next week who's going to run it like crazy. Then you got Alabama who wants to run the football and take shots deep. And then you got Florida, and they want to run the ball too because their passing game sucks. So this is a stretch now. You're past Missouri. You're past Ole Miss. You're by Jordan Travis. You're now facing a run of SEC teams that want to start and finish with the ground game. Bama wants to be big, physical, and run the ball with Milroe and that stable of backs. They hit the deep shots to Bird every once in a while, but they're a ground-based offense. Florida's one time they've showed a pulse all year was the Tennessee game because they mauled Tennessee on the ground. And Auburn's offense runs pretty much solely through their backs and their running quarterbacks. They did a good job moving the ball against Georgia. We'll see if LSU can stand up to this team and play well defensively up front. They've got to do that, because that is what's going to be required of them the rest of the way. You're going to see Ashford. You're going to see Thorne. You're going to see both tailbacks that have been pretty good this year. Batty's kind of the scat back who gets to the corner. Hunter's the seasoned vet. He's not a huge presence. He's 5'10", but he's 215, 220 pounds, and he runs pretty well. It's going to come down to that. And this is a poor some college production that should be a decent unit. It's time to be decent. I'm not asking to be great. We've said this for 3 weeks. I'm not asking you to be all world. I'm asking you to show up, stop them on first down some, put them behind the chains, make them throw it, and then get up the field and rush the passer a little bit. They finally did that against Missouri at the end of the game. They need to do it against Auburn. Now, that's easier said than done because Auburn is physical, and they're going to show up with a good plan off a bye week, and Hugh Freeze is a good coach. But, again, as I said to start this segment, you are going to basically establish the narrative for the next month Saturday night at 6 o'clock. If you don't show a pulse, why would anybody believe that you're going to slow Alabama down? If you do, there's reason to think, we're grading on a curve here because of the offense, and they're coming along a little bit, and if you look up and Auburn's only run for 148 yards in this game, LSU's going to win one, and you're going to feel a little bit better about the way that the defense is playing. That's the hope, at least. Maybe Mason Smith's getting a little healthier. Maybe that sack unleashed a little bit of something. Maybe, like Sage Ryan's talking about, like Jacoby and Guillory's thinking about, they're gaining a little bit of confidence and they're getting a little bit better as the season goes on. It needs to start. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, which I will mention again when I give my picks at the end of the show, I think the crowd can help. I think the crowd can spur these guys on. And we all know that they know they don't have to be perfect. As much pressure as the offense has got to feel like they got to score every time out there, it's the exact inverse when the defense goes out there. Hey, got to get a stop. Oh, we didn't? Okay, we'll get a stop next time. It's fine. Offense has got us. Easier way to play. LSU and Auburn at a little bit after 6 o'clock tomorrow from Tiger Stadium. Katie George is going to be on the sidelines for that game for the ESPN telecast. She's going to be with us in 20 minutes at 2:15. We'll get Take It or Leave It, which is coming with you at 2:30. My final pick coming at the end of the show. And after Sports Center, we're going to have my picks against the spread in the Southeastern Conference. Huge one in Knoxville that I can't wait to talk about. We'll see how that goes. We got Alabama and Arkansas are playing as well. So we'll get my picks, get the spread. Still can't quite get to 500. Trying to climb over. Haven't quite gotten there yet. We'll see if we can do it this week. If you missed any of hour number one, you can always catch it on demand. 1045 ESPN's.com's on demand tab. You can find all of our shows right there every single day. If you're more of an app person, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your podcasts, you can find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, and we ought to show up. We'd appreciate if you like and subscribe. This Hunt on Saints YouTube channel went over 1,000 subscribers yesterday, so certainly appreciate y'all for subscribing to our black and gold content. Preston Guy was with us in the first hour. We had our NFL thoughts and a lot of talk on LSU and Auburn, so go catch all of that on demand. Hope your Friday's going awesome. Appreciate the good folks at Corks for bringing you our shows on Friday. When we come back on the other side of Sports Center, we'll do some SEC picks against the spread on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is that website. David Duvall and his team been in the game 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If there's someone in your life who's aging a little bit and may need some safety precautions in their bathroom, One Bath and Closets is the one-stop shop for that. They can put non-stick floors in. They can put handrails and guardrails in. They can do a walk-in tub, which is far more convenient and safer for an aging person in your life. Give David Duvall and his team a call and let them come in and set something up for you. They have free consultations that don't cost you anything. And if the cost is a bit of an issue, they have financing options available as well. Check them out at onebathandclosets.com. There are testimonials of their great work. There are pictures of their fantastic work as well. And you can also request that free consultation tell you about every single day. Check them out at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Week 6 injury report ahead of the Sunday slate. Browns QB Deshaun Watson will miss a second straight game with a shoulder injury. Cleveland will start P.J. Walker against the Niners. Watson cleared to play, but has struggled to throw. Niners are now 9.5-point favorites. Line was 5.5 earlier in the week. Daniel Jones out Sunday against the Bills. After suffering a neck injury, Tyrod Taylor will make his first Giants start. College football, Colorado star Travis Hunter expected to return tonight. Has been cleared to play for the first time since week 2. Colorado Stanford at 10 Eastern on ESPN. Coach Prime not thrilled with the late start.
What are we supposed to do with the kids all day until 8 o'clock?
Yeah. Wait till we're on the road.
What are we supposed to do all day until 8 o'clock? So what you supposed to do in the hotel? What you supposed to do all day?
Watching football.
Who's playing on
then,
Friday? Yeah, thank God we're not going to be in this conference.
Yep.
Coach Prime on Buff's primetime college hoops. Miami guard Haley Cavender entering the transfer portal to play in 2024.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith joins us in studio, 7:30 Eastern, to talk all things Dallas. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Let's do it. One more hour of the Hunt Palmer Show this week. Appreciate you making us part of your Friday, whether you're finishing up the work week in the office, whether you're in the car headed to Baton Rouge. Maybe you're listening to us on demand as you come on in. We appreciate it anyway that you're accessing our content. Our Football Friday is always a lot of fun here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We start things off with Off the Bench at 7 o'clock in the morning. Live at Lunch goes from 10 to 1. I'm with you from 1 to 3. Matt Moscona, 3 to 6 on After Further Review. That leads into Louisiana Prep Preview. Cade Wassan and his cast of thousands getting you ready for another high school football Friday in the state of Louisiana. Got the broadcast of Catholic High coming to you later on as well. And after that goes Louisiana Prep Scoreboard. With you until midnight, recapping the scores from around the state in high school football. So always a lot of fun on our Fridays. Katie George going to be on the sidelines tomorrow. She'll join us coming up in 15 minutes. But it's time to go against the spread in the Southeastern Conference, as I do each and every Friday. I am 25-27. I just simply cannot get over the hump to get to 500. We've got to have a good week. We've got to have a strong week. We've got to get over 500 and make this happen. So we do this chronologically. We start in the 11 o'clock television window. CBS actually will have Georgia and Vanderbilt at 11 o'clock. That is the best team in the SEC against the worst team in the SEC. Not that you need a reminding of that. 31.5 is the number here. Vanderbilt's 14th in the SEC in scoring defense. Georgia is averaging 40 points per game. They're going to score a lot. But the problem with the Vanderbilt games, and this is the problem I run into every year with Vanderbilt, is I can't gauge the emotional investment of Vanderbilt's opponents. I know how much Vanderbilt's going to care. A lot. They're just not any good. So how do I know how much Georgia cares? Georgia cared last week. They beat the brakes off Kentucky. Are they going to care enough to score 50 points in this game? They did last week. I don't know. Maybe the players could go out and get hammered on Broadway. That's what I would do if I was in Nashville. It sounds like a great time. Sounds a lot more fun than playing Vanderbilt in football. But I just feel like it's a letdown spot for Georgia. I feel like they're going to run the ball, maybe run some clock. It could be 45-0 and I'll lose, but I'm going to take the 31.5 points. I can't back this up with any statistical fact. I just feel like I lose Vanderbilt games more often than any other team in the SEC. I just can't bet the Vanderbilt games. We're going to take Vanderbilt 31.5. Feel terrible about it, but we're going to do it. Arkansas is at Bama. That's another 11 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. 19.5 is the number in that one. Bama, of course, favored. Arkansas 12th in the SEC in running offense and dead last in the SEC in total offense. They have lost 4 straight, but it's kind of a sandwich spot for Bama. They were at A&M last week. They're at Tennessee next week. You didn't need me to tell you that. It's the third Saturday in October. Of course, Alabama and Tennessee are going to play next week in Tuscaloosa. So, is it a sandwich spot for Bama? I don't know. Arkansas's got some turnovers. They are second in the SEC in turnover margin, number 1 in forced turnovers. Can they force Milroe into a pick like Ole Miss did in the red zone? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't expect this game's going to be overly competitive in terms of a final score, but I'll take the 19.5 points because I feel like it's a sandwich spot for Alabama. Plus, I don't think Jalen Milroe is any good still. I'm just going to stay on that hill until I'm proven to be an idiot, which happens frequently. But I'm going to take Arkansas and the 19 points. So catching a lot of points between Vanderbilt and Arkansas. A&M and Tennessee is the game of the day in the Southeastern Conference. That's the 2:30 kick on CBS from Rocky Top. This is such a huge spot for both of these teams. A&M coming off a missed opportunity against Alabama to take control of the West. They lose. Can they rebound and not make it 2 losses in a row and stay relevant in the SEC West race, which they were very much in as of last week? Tennessee, okay, you went down and got beat by Florida in the Swamp. You do that every 2 years. How do you respond to it? Well, we're just going to have to see. When you think Josh Heupel, you probably think passing offense. But Tennessee's 9th in the SEC in passing offense, and that's how you beat A&M. Miami threw it all over them. Jalen Milroe threw it all over them. Their back end of the defense is not good. They're great up front. They force pressures. They get TFLs. They're great at getting sacks and all that. And they did that against Alabama, but they can't cover. But Tennessee's not making teams hurt through the air. Joe Milton hasn't been that guy to this point. He's got to hit the deep shots when they're there. They're always there. And for whatever reason, Tennessee is not hitting them this year. Maybe it's just as simple as Joe Milton's not that good. I could listen to that. That's very possible. Tennessee is 13th in the SEC in 20-plus yard plays. I told you in the first hour, Auburn's last. Auburn's the worst team in the SEC in creating explosive plays. Tennessee is second to worst. That is shocking based on what we saw from them last year with Hendon Hooker. You've got to hit those plays against Texas A&M. Now, the Vols have only allowed 6 sacks all year long. That's fantastic. A&M got 7 sacks against Auburn, 7 sacks against Arkansas, 6 sacks against Bama. What's going to give? Is A&M going to continue to run roughshod over offensive lines? Tennessee's has been pretty good to this point. Maybe the Vols turn to their tempo, and that wears down that big physical front of Texas A&M. I'm not sure. It may come down to the red zone. A&M, worst red zone touchdown team in the SEC in terms of punching it in now that Mac Johnson is at the helm. I went back and forth on this one. I really did. I went back and forth. You know where my heart is for this one. I'm going to let my head go right with it. I'm going to take Tennessee. I'm going to lay 3 points in this one. I would just love it if that comes to pass. I'm not super confident. I don't love picking Joe Milton and betting on him, but I'm going to. It's at Neyland. It's going to be an incredible environment. I think that Tennessee can get it done. I'll lay the 3 points with the Vols. Another 2:30 kickoff, this one on the SEC Network, is Florida and South Carolina. And guess what happens when Florida and South Carolina get together? It's 2 teams that just kind of stink. These teams aren't very good. I'll just be quite honest. South Carolina, 14th in the SEC in scoring offense. 14th in the SEC in rush offense. That's dead last. 11th in the SEC in scoring defense. 12th in the SEC in run defense. So Florida should be able to run the football. Spencer Rattler is having to do everything. Xavier Leggett is kind of coming along with him, making some big plays in the passing game as well. I think South Carolina will show up. I think it'll be a great environment. I just don't think they're any good. And Florida has kind of shown that if they're going to be good, it's going to be running the football, and South Carolina does a really bad job of stopping the run. So I'll take Florida. I'll take the 2 points. Again, I don't think Florida's very good. I don't think South Carolina's very good. I'll take the points, and we'll see what happens in Columbia. And the other nightcap outside of LSU and Auburn is Missouri at Kentucky. Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite in this one at Kroger Field. Kentucky's kind of back in its weight class now, okay? They played up, went up a couple weight classes, got embarrassed, got knocked back down, but Missouri is in their weight class. LSU last week kind of showed that Missouri's number 1 ranked run defense in the SEC, kind of a farce. We'll see if Ray Davis can do that. Missouri padded some stats against some bad teams. Yeah, Memphis didn't run it great on them, okay. But can Kentucky? Because that's all Kentucky wants to do. I don't know why Kentucky can't do anything through the air. Devin Leary is a pretty talented dude. He threw for 69 yards against Florida. Now, they ran it like crazy in that game and routed Florida, so they didn't have to pass, but only 69 yards against Florida, and he only threw for 128 against Georgia in a game they were getting hammered in. So they're just not able to throw the football. That's odd. I was impressed with Cook last week. I was impressed, obviously, with Luther Burden last week. I think Missouri is decent. I don't think they're a really good team. I think they're decent. and I'm just going to pick them to go on the road and get this one done. So I'll take the 2.5 points. I'll pick Missouri to cover. I think Missouri may win the game. Kentucky's done this to us a couple times. They get out to a nice start, then all of a sudden the air comes out of the balloon. It's that Kentucky ceiling. I talked about it on Wednesday when we did power rankings. I talked about it on Monday when we were discussing Georgia and Kentucky last Saturday. I just think there's a limit on what Kentucky can be, and we kind of got to that last week, and I'm just going to count on Missouri to maybe one-up it. And if Missouri can get this win, that'll be really impressive for them, and that would be a real gut punch to Kentucky fans, because you know what happens when they start to lose a couple of games? That basketball starts bouncing. Casey knows what I'm talking about back there. The basketball starts bouncing in Lexington, gets to be bourbon season up there, and you lose interest. You just lose interest. And that sometimes happens in Lexington. I think it might happen here moving forward, so I will take Mizzou in that one. So my picks against the spread, we're trying to get over 500 here. We're making an effort. I've got Vanderbilt catching 31.5. Hate that pick. Got Arkansas catching 19.5. Really hate that pick, too. I got Tennessee laying 3 points. I don't really like that one either. I've got Florida catching 2 points at South Carolina and Missouri catching 2.5. So I got 4 underdogs after laying a ton of points last week. Either way I do it, it doesn't generally work out. But we'll see. We can figure some things out here moving forward. Should be an interesting day of SEC football tomorrow. LSU and Auburn, a big part of that. Katie George will be on the sidelines for it. She'll join us next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Jersey Mike's, Highway 30 in Gonzales near the new Heritage Shopping Center. Love that original Italian. That's an authentic Jersey-style Italian sub. Got the ham, got the prosciutto, capicola, salami, pepperoni with the provolone on that delicious bread. And I'm a sucker for the hot sandwiches. You order one of those cheesesteaks, whether it's the beef or the chicken, they put the meat right there on the griddle right in front of you. Cook it up, melt that cheese over the top. The Bacon Ranch Chicken Cheesesteak is fantastic. Plus, Jersey Mike can do some catering for you. If you're heading out to a high school game tonight and want to get order in bulk, they can do it. If you're heading out to tailgate tomorrow at Tiger Stadium, Jersey Mike's can help you that as well. If you order catering from the the Gonzales location on Highway 30, 20% off for listeners of our show. So tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, 20% off. You can download the Jersey Mike's app, stop by and see our friends, Highway 30 in Gonzales near the new Heritage Shopping Center. Make it Jersey Mike's.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards. which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an
Tune in this Sunday as we bring you a trio of NFL games. We'll start with the noon kickoff, Washington Commanders at Atlanta Falcons, and then immediately following that, we'll take you to Patriots at Raiders, and then our nightcap, the New York Giants and Buffalo Bills. Tune in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
LSU and Auburn, Saturday night in Death Valley, just after 6 o'clock. It will kick off on ESPN. Your television crew going to be Joe Tess on the play-by-play, Jesse Palmer on the color, and down on the sideline, Katie George, who joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Katie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Hunt?
Doing very well. I'm curious, y'all go out as a crew on Friday night. Does Jesse take more pictures with guys who are like, oh, Florida quarterback and guy who played in the NFL, or is it more women that are like, that's the guy from The Bachelor?
Oh, I think you know the answer to that. It's definitely the latter. As soon as we walk into a restaurant, I think every woman turns their head and says, I know I recognize him from somewhere. Sometimes I know immediately. Sometimes it takes a few seconds. But Jesse Palmer is a star, certainly. And we have plans to go to Mansour's tonight, I believe.
Excellent. They got great gumbo in Mansour, some of the best in town.
Okay.
So fantastic stuff over there. You're lucky to spend a lot of time on a lot of great sidelines and a lot of great venues. You can take the home team out here in Baton Rouge, but is there one that stands out as an environment that you really enjoy going to?
Yeah, it's funny. My dad always asks me that question as I've been in this. I think this is my 5th season now with ESPN. And actually, I'm not just pandering because I'm on your show. I've told him, Dad, you got to get to Death Valley at night. There's something special about it. You guys know it better than I do. But 2 years ago was my first time in Death Valley, and that was for the Auburn game. And unfortunately, it didn't fare well for your Tigers. Bo Nix, I think, scrambled around on every 4th down imaginable to win that game. And then, last year we went to Jordan Hare for the LSU Auburn game. So this will be our 3rd time calling this game in a row. And there's always just some extra juice to it. It's a little rivalry here in the SEC. But Death Valley at night, when these fans have a full day of tailgating under their belts, it's really special and one of the loudest environments that I've ever been in.
Should be a lot of fun tomorrow for LSU and Auburn. I want to start on the Auburn side of things. Hugh Freeze in his first year, what do you sense is his comfort level with that program just half a year in?
Yeah, we haven't met with him yet. We're going to their hotel this afternoon. We actually just wrapped up with Brian Kelly and his coordinators. So I'm interested to kind of have that conversation with him. I think that he's so far been a good fit. When you talk to different players, they feel like he has their back. He's very supportive. He makes them feel loved, and he's an emotional kind of leader, and they seem to be able to feed off of that. But what I have found interesting in having conversations with Peyton Thorne, their quarterback, is, much like LSU a year ago, it takes some time when you have all these new pieces trying to get to know each other, trying to feel each other out, to build chemistry and rapport on the football field. I mean, last year when you looked at LSU's offense in this game, Jane Daniels threw for 80 yards. Now look at what this offense has become, a year and a half into it. And so I think right now there's some growing pains for Hugh Freeze, his offense. But, coming off of a bye week, they hope that they could sort some of that out and that they can start clicking, especially in the passing game.
I watched Brian Kelly from afar at Notre Dame and thought of him as a kind of an arrogant, like as a guy that was yelling and screaming, red face. And since he's gotten down here, from what we can see in press conferences, he's just relaxed and jovial and making jokes all the time. What's he like when he sits down with you all now that he's got the head man at LSU?
He's awesome. People ask me about Brian Kelly all the time because I think they have the same kind of perception and stereotype of him as you did when he was at Notre Dame, kind of an elitist, if you will. But gosh, this guy can coach football, and he's so analytical, and he has such a great understanding of how to make teams successful, right? He's been able to do it at every step of his career, and we obviously saw that by LSU winning the SEC West and playing for an SEC championship in his first year down here in Baton Rouge. I love spending time with him. I love listening to him talk about football, talk about his teams. He has a great understanding of what we do as a broadcast crew, and so he gives you great information, so you feel really prepared going into games. And so it's really been fun covering him as much as we have as a crew. You know, last year we had LSU 6 games. It felt like every other week we kind of got a progress report in terms of kind of watching them build and grow into a great football team. And so it's been nice being able to cover them. This will be our second time this season.
Did you get more information about his offense that's awesome or his defense that's really, really struggling?
Yeah, well, we certainly talked about the Heisman kind of season that Jaden Daniels is having and all the pieces that he has around him. It's been phenomenal to watch, certainly. And that's a credit to the staff putting the plan together and then Jaden following through, right, and fixing some mistakes and bettering himself in the offseason. I think you're certainly seeing that come to fruition each Saturday when he and the offense steps on the field. But we had a long conversation about the defense, certainly about Harold Perkins' role, switching the structure to a 4-down system, and now having the back end have a little bit more confidence based on the second half that they had at Missouri last week. And so they hope to be able to build off that momentum in their return in Death Valley. And Brian Kelly was honest, like, maybe Florida State, we wouldn't have known what the best structure and system was. He said, I just wish we had gotten to this point sooner, and that's on us as coaches for not getting there. But now that they feel like they're in a good position and they got to, build some consistency moving forward on the back half of the season.
You watched a lot of Jaden Daniels last year. He threw for 80-plus yards in this game and is now throwing up 400 or 500 yards each and every week. What have you enjoyed about watching him this year, and if you had a chance to talk with him, how he's handled all of it?
Yeah, I just think with which it comes easily to him, right? Like he looks like when he's running 21 miles per hour out there that he's kind of in slow motion. He's going for a jog. He's running past guys. He clearly has become a commander of this team, not just this offense. And last year, kind of talking to him at each point that we had him, he was kind of settling in, not trying to step on a lot of toes, not really trying to hold people accountable, right? Because there's a feel-out process when you're a new player entering into a new locker room, and so that took some time. But then when he kind of took charge of the offense, took charge of his role as a leader, and started getting after it in the pocket, we watched what he did at Florida, and I felt like at Florida last year was when that offense really started to click and took off, and then there was no real stopping them at that point. So it's been funny how in my position you're able to talk to different guys over the years, and you're able to watch them mature. You're able to watch them progress through the seasons, and I've been able to do that with Jaden Daniels being as on the sidelines as much as we have. But he's unflappable. Cool, calm, poised. His teammates surely they feed off of that. Will Campbell told me he's our commander. We go if he moves us. If he's playing well, we're running the football well. If he's playing well, we're great in the receiving game. So he said he wouldn't want to block for anybody else, and I think that's a testament to the type of person he is, and certainly he deserves a spot in the Heisman conversation right now.
You mentioned Peyton Thorne and chatting with him. Is there a sense over there that they've got to keep up with LSU, or that they just need to run the football and be who they've been on all year?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think when you go through bye weeks, you generally focus on your weaknesses and where you've struggled, and obviously that's been in the passing game. And Hugh Freeze has had great success there, but I think his identity, he wants to be able to run the football first. They can do that. It's just now you can't be one-dimensional, especially against a defense or front seven like LSU. So I think this will be an interesting game. The game within the game is how does LSU secondary fare against these receivers in the pass game, and who gains confidence early in this game. Peyton Thorne did tell me, obviously you want to focus on yourself. You don't want to focus on the statistics. They can be deceiving, certainly, if you look at LSU's defense this year. But he said we have to attack, and we have to attack early. So I expect them to take some shots and see how, their guys fare in one-on-one matchups against LSU secondary. And then, of course, that they're going to give the ball to Jarquez Hunter quite a bit.
And Katie, y'all enjoy your Friday night in Baton Rouge and Saturday night in Death Valley. We thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is Katie George, ESPN college football sideline reporter. She'll be roaming the sidelines for LSU and Auburn coming up tomorrow night. You know, I want to go back to the first thing that she said there when I asked her about, not the question about The Bachelor, which my wife would immediately go, that's Jesse from The Bachelor, and would have no idea he even played football. But the first thing we talked about from a football perspective, which was the best environment that she has been in, and she mentioned LSU. She said it wasn't just because she's on our show. Just that's what she tells people all the time, and that's when her dad asked. She says you got to get to Death Valley. I think because, and I've said this a few times, because we see Tiger Stadium when it's very average. We see it for the Grambling game. We see it in the entire upper deck. It's basically empty for the Arkansas game. We see some of that, and we know that it's not always the greatest venue in all of sports. But there's something special about the fact that we do get to see it at its best quite often, and when it's at its best, it may be the best. It's such a cool thing. You've heard people from Scott Van Pelt, you've heard Urban Meyer, you've heard Katie George, you've heard, so many people have mentioned that, and I've been to every single football stadium in the SEC except for Missouri, and I'm quite confident saying Missouri's not the best. Haven't been, probably not the best. I have been to Texas A&M for Johnny Manziel. I've been to the Swamp for Tim Tebow. I've been at Jordan-Hare with Cam Newton. I was in Knoxville in 2006 when it was absolutely crazy in there for that Jamarcus Russell game that LSU won at the end. I've been to Ole Miss when they've been good. I've been to Mississippi State when they've been good. So I've seen all of them, and they're all, Alabama for 2011 was just incredible. It was probably the most ridiculous stadium I've ever been in that night, just because of the amount of build-up there was to that game. There were celebrities everywhere, and it was just the matchup of the top two teams in the country. And LSU is as good as all of them. I find it hard to believe that I could discern. Georgia was really loud in 2013. I didn't think it was that loud when I went in 2009, but in 2013, I thought it was crazy. I think there's a lot that are really, really loud. Just LSU has a little bit of mystique to it, and we're lucky. And I think about that on Fridays like this, where I've got my parents coming in town. I think a lot of you have folks coming in town, or you're coming in for the game, and we get to do this a few times a year where the stadium is at its best. And I think it's going to be pretty good in there tomorrow night. You've got an LSU team that's still very much in the thick of things in the Southeastern Conference. You've got a rival that's coming in. You've got a night game. You've got great weather. You've kind of got a lot of the ingredients you need for a great stadium. And we don't get it all the time. You're not going to get it for Grambling. If LSU loses a couple more games, you won't really get it for Texas A&M. It takes all the ingredients of the gumbo to make it its best. And it's got a chance to be really, really good tomorrow. So I'm very much looking forward to getting in there and seeing the Tigers, and hopefully they play very, very well. So thanks to Katie George for jumping aboard. That's our last guest of the show. We'll play some Take It or Leave It next, and as you know, we'll have my final pick coming up to finish off the show right here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Storm season's kind of closing down, but it's still a great time to call Boudreaux's Electric and make sure you're protected against power outages with that Generac generator. Boudreaux's Electric, been owned and operated by Neil and Melissa Boudreaux for 40 years. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. That means they're in the top 3% in the country. If you find a Generac generator for less expensive than you would find at Boudreaux's, they'll match that price. I don't think it's going to happen, but they'll match it, and you'll want to go to Boudreaux's. Why? Free 10-year warranty on every single Generac generator that they sell. Free 10-year warranty, and they customize it to your needs. Depending on your square footage, depending on what you need powered in the event of an outage, they can help you. You might need a big old generator. You might need just a smaller one to help you out. They can make that for you over at Boudreaux's Electric. Call the same number that they have been at for 40 years, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562. That is Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for a Football Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. It's a Football Friday. Phil Steele is with us, previewing the biggest games, the right radio hours. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
The first ever Baton Rouge Kids on the Catwalk Dreams Come True fashion show coming up October the 26th at the Country Club of Louisiana. Dream Kids are going to be walking down the catwalk with local dignitaries as their escorts. Those dignitaries include Flynn Foster, our owner here at Guarantee Media, and Richard Condon on Eagle 98.1, who's beefing with me on Twitter right now. That's a different day. Admission includes dinner and an open bar. There's also going to be live and silent auctions featuring celebrity auctioneer T. Bob Hebert. Purchase your tickets or tables online at dctofla.com. That's dctofla.com for tickets to the Dreams Come True fashion show. Hunt Palmer here with you for another 20 minutes or so. My final pick for the LSU Tigers against the Auburn Tigers, as well as Texans and Saints coming up a little bit later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. But right now, we got to play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Bill Belichick will never win another playoff game. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. I think he's going to hang around for a little bit to try to break that record.
But they got to find another quarterback. So I don't think Mac Jones is the
or
answer.
they fire him and he goes and coaches somebody else.
That's true.
Robert Kraft is pretty blunt. Like, he will tell you how he feels. And, like, he said, like, I'm not here to, like, let people ride off in the sunset. Like, I want to go win another Super Bowl.
And he wanted Brady over Belichick, I think.
I don't know anything about those dynamics, obviously. But it's very – that story is kind of telling itself now. Brady moves on and wins a Super Bowl, and Bill can't get over 500 without him. Now, I still think Bill Belichick's a great coach. But it's telling that one went on and won, and the other one's – it tells you what's the most important thing. You got to have somebody back there that can make the throws, and Mac Jones ain't it. Neither are a bunch of 6th and 7th round picks running around out there. So I think he will win another playoff game. It's easier now to get in the playoffs, and I don't feel great about my play, but I feel like that's probably the case.
Caleb Williams will take a step towards a second consecutive Heisman tomorrow. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Does that mean he has to win it? I think he'll take a step toward it. I think he'll play well. That's just what he does every week. His numbers are crazy. I mean, his numbers are better than Jaden Daniels. He's and it's fractional, and Jaden Daniels runs it more. But like in terms of just passing and playmaking, he's been fantastic. I'm just curious how much Notre Dame still has in the tank, because they go to Ireland, they come back, they've been in these drama-filled games with Ohio State and Duke, and they got leveled last week at Louisville, and they need that bye week to show up, and it's not, and they look out of gas to me, and so that's not the guy I'd want to see if I was running low on gas. I think he's awesome, but Notre Dame's going to have to score to beat them, and they didn't do a good job of that against Louisville. So I like Caleb Williams. I think he's awesome. I think an NFL team's going to be very lucky to have him, and I do think that he will play very well tomorrow, so I will take that one.
The Phillies have the best stadium atmosphere in baseball. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to have to take that one. I mean, that place is absolutely bonkers, and they are a nightmare to deal with in there. I mean, you got Spencer Strider, the Braves ace, on the mound, and he gave up his first extra base hit of the season on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and it was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball to Nick Castellanos, who hit it about a mile. That guy, he spent 2 months with the Cubs and did nothing but hit. And everywhere he goes, he just has nothing but hit. He's just crushing it everywhere he goes. But the atmosphere in Citizens Bank is the best I've seen in baseball. And I was listening to Greeny last week, and Himbo, his stats guy, who's on there a lot with him and does a really, really good job. He's a big Phillies fan, and he said, look, here's the deal. The Phillies have gotten through. They're playing the Braves. The Braves don't want any part of that. If the Phillies get a split in Atlanta, that series will not go back to Atlanta. It will end in Philadelphia. They'll win 2 in a row. And that's exactly how it played out. And 2 years in a row, the Braves have run out of gas against a Phillies team. It's just a nightmare to deal with because they're so good offensively and so deep. And now they've kind of found something with Wheeler and Nola at the rotation. They're legit. I mean, the Braves won the division by 17 games. The Phillies are absolutely legit, and that home field is really legit. So they're moving on. They're gonna be a tough out.
All right, next one here. Fall is the best season. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that. I like the fall. Fall is good. I prefer the spring. That's my favorite. I love the fact that it warms up. I love college baseball and starts Southeastern Conference play. I love the Masters. I love March Madness. That's fantastic. I like crawfish, which is in the spring too. Spring's my favorite time. It's great for us on the radio because we've got March Madness, college basketball, college baseball, spring football. Like, there's a ton of content to get to in the spring. The weather gets better from my least favorite time, which is the winter. It starts to get daylight a little bit later, and I like summer a lot too. Fall is good, and I know a lot of people think fall is the best season, but I will take the spring. I like the spring better.
All right, last one here. Carving pumpkins. Take it or leave it.
I'm carving pumpkins on Sunday. My wife's family always carves pumpkins one Sunday every fall. Pumpkin carving, not for me. I'm going to leave it. I think that I'm not very creative. I'm not very artistic. Like, I can't draw things or carve things. All I could probably do is put a bad face in there. I'm not one of these people that can do cool stuff. I think last year or 2 years ago, Alyssa did a 9 for Breeze and Burrow. It looked pretty good. I can't do it. My kid will be old enough to do it at some point. I'm happy to attend the function and have a couple cold pops and hang out, but I won't be putting a knife to any pumpkins. That's just not really my neck of the woods. I'm in on trick-or-treating because there's good candy involved in that. Pumpkin carving, just not really my thing. But I'm happy to go and just be along for the ride. So I'm kind of out on carving. When was the last time you carved a pumpkin, Pack?
Oh, wow. I haven't done it in a really long time. I don't know. I'm surprised I haven't, though, because my wife likes to do a lot of, decor and stuff for the fall and all that. And so I'm surprised we haven't done it yet. But
how many pumpkins are in your house right now?
We don't have any in the house. We have 2 outside.
2? Okay.
We got a couple of the pink ones they had at the hospital over
My
there.
wife, this was last year, she showed up with 20 pumpkins. Now, a lot of them were tiny little, like the size of a baseball. But it's like, there are 20 pumpkins. Like, what the hell do we need 20 pumpkins for? Because you got to put them on the front porch. It's fall. I mean, my wife, and she's also a serial holiday skipper. So, like, in middle of September, she's going to
getting ready.
pumpkins,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden you're into Thanksgiving, and she's putting up Christmas stuff
Yep.
late in November. Like, just do them one at a time. You got to take the seasons and the holidays one at a time. My wife just doesn't quite see it that way. That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Football Friday. Want to remind you about our friends over at Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's not just fried fish and fried shrimp platters. They got po' boys too, and they're real good. Get you a catfish po' boy, of course, famous shrimp po' boy. Fantastic stuff over there at Corks. You can dine in. They newly renovated that dining room. It's fantastic. Or you can run right through that drive-thru. Want to remind you, if you're looking for some food for a tailgate or a game watch party this weekend, Corks does a great job of serving in bulk. They can help you out with that. Go to corksfishandshrimp.com. You can place your order online, or you can stop by the location there on Government Streets. From the same folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue over in Port Allen. It's a great new food concept here in Baton Rouge, and we love telling you about them each and every Friday. If you're looking to feed your office, Corks can do that. They do it every single week, and they're great at it. They can get that delicious, crispy fried catfish. It's not fishy or muddy. It's clean and crispy. They got big jumbo Gulf shrimp. And their recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. It is A-plus stuff. Also, the baked potato with the crawfish etouffee on it and the fried shrimp on top. Real good stuff over there at Corks. Corksfishandshrimp.com. We'll come back. One order of business left. Well, two. We're going to get you a little bit of sound, getting you ready for the game. And then my final pick on Saints-Texans, as well as LSU and Auburn. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644.
Charles Hannegriff joined me and Jimmy Ott for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. We start at 10 a.m. from the Beau Rivage Sportsbook in Biloxi, Mississippi. And it includes the Brian Kelly press conference. Live at Lunch, 10 a.m. on Monday, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
All right, closing up shop here on the Hunt Palmer Show, Football Friday edition, presented by Corks. Appreciate you all being with us for the last 2 hours. Still got to make my picks for the games this weekend, but let's start things off hearing from Brian Kelly from yesterday. He gave a report on some injuries.
Chris Hilton is the only guy that is not going to play. Everybody else has moved from the questionable, probable, whatever else we had there. They're all in.
I laugh at that soundbite because everybody was so excited for this new injury designated announcement system on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays. And I looked at it and went, you can fudge that any way you want. And Kelly didn't even know the designations. Like, yeah, I think Chris Hilton's not going to play. Everybody else is whatever it is that we said it was. They're fine. Like we didn't hear anything about Logan Diggs the first week. It's nice in theory, and I've made my peace. Like, I just don't care for coaches to tell me who's hurt or not. I don't think it's my information to hear. And quite frankly, if my options are their coach hears it and I hear it, or neither of us hear it, I'm just going to go with neither. So whatever. But it appears that Chris Hilton, still battling a bit of an injury, is not going to be able to play, which is a bummer. But the next follow-up question was asked, well, what about Deuce Chestnut? Is he available?
I'm going to meet with Deuce tomorrow. We'll have probably a follow-up on him next week.
So that sounds like probably a situation where Deuce Chestnut's going to be back. That's me reading the situation and the sound bites. I think if you're off the team, you're just off the team and you just say, hey, he's done. If you're telling me that we're going to have another meeting, that feels like that's not a meeting to dismiss you. We would have already made that decision. It feels like Deuce Chestnut will be back. How much he plays or how much he helps, that is, I guess, to be seen. But at this point, I think it sounds like Deuce Chestnut will be back, but they won't have him in this game. So you continue with that same cornerback rotation that you've had with Zy Alexander out there, with Denver Harris out there, with Ashton Stamps and Terrence Welch. Like, those are kind of your guys, and Sage Ryan moves back and forth, and they've got to play a little bit better. There won't be any Deuce Chestnut. The one guy that I think most people care about as far as injury goes is Jaden Daniels, and what situation is with his ribs and how it impacted his preparation.
On Monday, he said, Coach, I don't want you to change anything. I'm good to go. And so we didn't change anything up. He took all the reps, and I think it sent a really good message to everybody about, there's going to be some bumps and bruises, and guys are going to be sore, but you got to kind of, get through it. He feels really good now, but I think he was pretty sore on Tuesday and Wednesday, but today he looked really good, back to his old self, and I think he's ready to compete at a high level.
Some magic recovery. He was really sore on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, good as new. Felt awesome. Back to his old self. That feels to me like one that still kind of hurts. I mean, it's just the rib situation. Those can linger a little bit. And certainly Auburn knows that he was hurt last week. And if you don't think they're going to be coming after him and popping him as often as they can, you obviously aren't paying attention. That's what they're going to do. And Jaden's got to know that. So he's got to know, hey, get on the ground when the time calls for it. Get out of bounds when the time calls for it. I don't need the extra 2 yards, okay? If it's 4th and 2 late in the game, okay, let's go. If it's in the third quarter, if it's in the second quarter, if it's in the first quarter, and it's second down, let's just get out of bounds, okay? We're going to need you out there playing. You're playing at a Heisman Trophy level. You're not going to help us much in the injury tent or the hospital, okay? He's just getting leveled every single week, and he's got to do something about that. And it's in his control. You've seen guys that are able to do that. He's got to do a better job of protecting himself. Hopefully he feels pretty good tomorrow, because that offense changes significantly if he's not out there. That probably goes without saying. So that's your look at the injury report this week. Seems like Chris Hilton's out. Everybody else pretty much ready to go. All right, that's it. One more order of business will be our pick. But first, let me set you up for the day of coverage tomorrow. That starts at 1 o'clock with Eagle 98.1 Game Day from Rouse's. Charles Hannegriff, Matt Musso getting you ready for LSU in Auburn. They'll go from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock there at Rouse's, so we invite you to get on by and see them on your way out to campus. I'll take over at the LSU Sports Radio Network at 4 o'clock. That's 2 hours before kickoff from between the ramps of the Assembly Center. We'll have LSU head basketball coach Matt McMahon with us if you want to come out and see Coach McMahon. Very much looking forward to that. We'll go from 4 to 5:30. You'll have the broadcast of the game on Eagle 98.1. 30 minutes after it goes final, me, Brandon Taylor, Marlon Favorite with you for an hour on the Fighting Tiger postgame report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. And 90 minutes after the game goes final, Eagle 98.1 Game Day's postgame show right here in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio with Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon. So lock us in from 1 o'clock tomorrow all the way through probably 2 o'clock in the morning. That's what we do on our football Saturdays. All right, let's pick the Saints and Texans.
New Orleans Saints. Houston Texans. Final pick.
Look, everybody thought the Texans were going to be terrible this year, myself very much included. First-year coach, a roster that was built to tank, a rookie quarterback who's getting the reins to the offense, and they've come out and played pretty well. I think they punched Jacksonville in the mouth, and it was impressive. But last week, they got a little bit of a wake-up call, and the Saints looked great last week. The question is, can the Saints validate last week's performance against an awful New England team by going on the road again and scoring some points? We've still got that flashing light that is that Bucs loss looking at us going, hey, remember that? And we do, but hopefully they've fixed something with Alvin Kamara and Carr getting a little healthier and they can find a little bit of offense. C.J. Stroud's been great, top 5 in the NFL in passing. He hasn't thrown an interception. He's been fantastic for them, but the Saint defense is really, really good, and I expect them to give C.J. Stroud some significant problems coming up on Sunday for that noon kickoff. The question is, can the Saints move the ball? I'm going to choose this week to say that the Saints will move the ball a little bit. I think they're going to put some points on the board, and I think that C.J. Stroud and his crew are going to struggle. So I will take the Saints winning 26-17. That's an offensive explosion by Saints terms. Maybe they get a pick 6 off the youngster, and he throws his first pick of his NFL career, but I like the Saints winning that one 26-17. All right, time for a little Saturday night in Death Valley.
This afternoon from Tigers Stadium in Baton Rouge, it's the Tigers against the Tigers. Capacity is 102,000. Filled predominantly with purple and gold, with a splash of blue and orange representing the Tigers of Auburn.
LSU Tigers.
I feel really confident that they're going to play at a higher level. They're going to have to. I feel good about going into the game. They're going to have some runs, but I think our guys have made really good improvement.
And the Auburn Tigers.
We get to go represent Auburn in that environment, and it's a tough place to play, but so is Jordan Hare, and so are many others. And
now, final pick.
You know, if this were just your standard LSU defense, your garden variety LSU defense, Auburn would be a light snack because they're one-dimensional and they're just pretty good at it. They don't have a Heisman Trophy level running back. Cadillac Williams isn't running through that door. Ronnie Brown's not running through that door. Kenny Irons didn't run through that door. Trey Mason's not running through that door. This is a pedestrian group of backfield players. They don't have a great quarterback. They're pretty physical up front, but LSU with its garden variety defense would put this thing in a locker. Unfortunately, they don't have that. So we've got to analyze this thing a little bit more deeply because this LSU defense has been very bad. And Hugh Freeze is a great coach, and he's got a team that knows its identity. It's running the football. It's running with the quarterback. It's 2-quarterback system. It's counters and traps and some misdirections and creative runs, and they've gotten to the edge and done some good things with it. And they'll be rested and ready to go. They'll have a good game plan, and I think they'll get LSU for some yards on the ground. Question is, can LSU take the passing game away like other teams have and make this team truly one-dimensional? And if you do that and you do get some stops and you do put them behind the chains and maybe you do put them behind in the game, Auburn's just not built to come back. So it's important for LSU to take control of the game, the exact opposite of what they did last week against Missouri, the exact opposite of what they did in Oxford. They've got to flip that script somehow and get a couple of early stops and let the offense play from ahead, which is a much more comfortable position for the offense. I think the crowd helps the defense tomorrow night. I really do. I think it's going to be a great environment, and I think that the crowd will the defense to get some stops. And I think the offense will do its thing. I don't think they're going to score 50, but I think they'll do their thing. Auburn hasn't seen anything that looks quite like this, and the closest thing to it's Georgia, and Brock Bowers went nuts on them, and Carson Beck threw for 313. I think Jaden Daniels has a great day at the office. I think they find a way to score a lot of points. They need to capitalize in the red zone. Auburn's been good in the red zone on defense. LSU's been great in the red zone on offense. They need to capitalize in the red zone. If they do that, I think LSU will take care of their business on Saturday night in Death Valley, and that'll set up a big one in Tuscaloosa after you deal with Army next week. My final score prediction, LSU 34, Auburn 28. That'll get it done. Maybe it's a late Auburn score that pushes it to that close. I'm not calling for some blowout here or think that Auburn's terrible. I just think LSU is better, and I cannot wait to get in that stadium. What should be a fun Friday. Saturday. We'll be talking about it on Monday. Matt's going to drive you home next. Have a great weekend.